Krishna. My sincere gratitude to all of you for being so enthusiastic. Honestly, I go to some places for giving lectures, and I've never been to a place where it's actually I'm gaining so much nourishment just by coming here, seeing so many wonderful devotees. I feel I've come for a yatra, and the association yesterday evening, the class and Kirtan, the Maharaj, and today morning's class was an eye opener. I was speaking to Mataji afterwards. So beautiful association, Sangha. Thank you very much for giving me a lot of life and enthusiasm. Today I want to share with you an important principle which we will not be able to complete, but we'll continue tomorrow. I think I've got 2 classes, today and tomorrow. So I'll try to complete, but even if we can't, I want to share some important principles about a relationship with Krishna. Yesterday we spoke about entering this relationship and entering that space of Krishna space, moving from I space. And we discussed how it's based on 3 principles. Small acts of service, which we will discuss today and tomorrow a little bit hopefully. And then we discuss certain social etiquette that helps us, and also spending time with Krishna. Now, let us say we have I see many of you are very young. I know some of you, since you are very small. So basically I see that you have a relationship with Krishna because your parents are devotees and you've been introduced to K.C. when you were very small. So you more or less have a relationship with Krishna. But you'll see that I've seen that a lot of senior devotees who spend time, they are happy because they are following certain principles. They are feeling fulfilled in K.C. because they are doing something right. And today we're going to discuss that, how to sustain this relationship with Krishna, how to make our relationship very dynamic and experience a constant joy and festival mood. Imagine every day was a festival. But that's not the way it is. Somebody falls in love, and the experience of love, if it were to last every day for whole life, what an experience that would be. But it's not as easy as it sounds. So that's why we have what is called a sadhana. Sadhana, I've been given the topic to speak on sadhana. So we're going to discuss what is sadhana, why sadhana comes first, how to balance sadhana and service, and especially the morning practices, why they are important. All this will be covered under this topic. So I'm going to discuss 3 principles of spiritual practices, sadhana, and how this can have a life-changing impact in our lives. It's a very powerful, and this is based on my observation of the senior God brothers. I live in an ashram. When I joined, there were already brahmacharis who were staying there for more than 10-15 years. And they're still there, happy. And many people have come and left, but these few devotees are still going strong. And I stay with them on the same floor. I'm a neighbor, I'm their neighbor. I take lunch with them. Govinda Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu, Shyamananda Prabhu, Radha Gopinath Prabhu. All of them have spent 3 decades. And I see certain principles they are following, and I have summed it up into 3 principles. They're extremely powerful. See, we can discuss a lot of sadhana, chanting, hearing, all that. But unless the foundation is right, unless the principles are in place, any amount of chanting, any amount of hearing won't help. Because what are these principles? Basically, they are very simple, 3 principles. One is appreciation and gratitude, the culture of constantly seeing good in others, appreciating them, having a culture of gratitude. That is one. Second is attention, or what is nowadays very popularly known as mindfulness. We'll discuss that also. Being present in our spiritual practices, that is the second principle. And third is accepting some responsibility. It could be a small responsibility, but a serious responsibility. Making some commitments or promises to Krishna and living with those promises. I think His Holiness Kadam Swami Maharaj has written a book or a blog, Living with the Vows. I think I saw it on his website once. Living with the vows. So making some vows, living with them. So there are 3 things. Appreciation and gratitude. Second, attention and absorption. And third is accepting some responsibility. Is that clear? We'll explore each one of them in detail. But this is the If you want to remember, it's simple. You could remember it as 3 A's. First is appreciation and gratitude. Second is attention and absorption. Third is accepting some responsibility. Or also you could remember it as prayer, present and promises. A culture of prayer where we express gratitude and thank you. And being present in our spiritual activities. And very important is promises, making some commitments. So, what about gratitude and appreciation? This is a very long, vast topic, and I just briefly, hopefully, discuss today with you about, today morning, did you notice what Mataji said in her class? When our, Jyoti Prabhu asked a question, that Srila Prabhupada said that all his disciples are sent by spiritual master. And what did Mataji say? She replied immediately, saying that reveals Srila Prabhupada's character. That such strange hippies coming from such a bizarre background, and Srila Prabhupada is able to see them as being sent by his own spiritual master. What is this? This is gratitude and appreciation in action. And the moment I stepped into the campus here, and that's the energy I felt. First devotee I met was Gauranga Prem Prabhu is here. Everyone, Lochanand Prabhu, the temple president. I just couldn't believe he's a temple president because I've seen many temple presidents in many places. But he's so childlike. I didn't say childish, I said childlike. That sweetness, that innocence of being excited about small things, that's devotional life, that's spiritual life. Sarvam Bhattacharya was a great philosopher, very intelligent, very smart, incarnation of Brahaspati. But when he became a devotee, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu convinced him, he was a minister and he was the advisor to the king Prataprudra. Very sober, grave. So when he became a devotee, he went mad. So there Mahaprabhu was taking a bath in the Narendra Sarovar. Sarvam Bhattacharya joined him and he was splashing water and playing around like a boy. So Mahaprabhu said, what's happened to you, Bhattacharya? You are a very grave, responsible minister. You're supposed to be very sober. What's happening to you? He said, Mahaprabhu, this is your power. This is your magic. That in your process, mad people like Jagai and Madai become sober and sober people like me become mad. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. That simplicity, that innocence, it has to be preserved. So gratitude and appreciation is extremely important. And Srila Prabhupada, when he said that these are representatives of the spiritual master, that's a very big instruction he's giving us. To see every devotee who comes to Hare Krishna movement as somebody very special, somebody very precious. There was one boy who was coming to Srila Prabhupada's classes. His name was Bill Epstein. When Mataji, she gave that example today in a class about the Kolkata temple where she was staying, and when Prabhupada spoke about his troubles in the West, she said, Prabhupada could have spoken about his struggle to go to US, his heart attacks, his struggle to establish the ISKCON movement, all that he could have spoken, right? But what struck her the most? Remember what she said? The boga in the refrigerator, sharing with, there was meat kept in the refrigerator, remember that? So when she said that, and because she was doing mananam, she had a culture of reflection, she immediately understood that, what Srila Prabhupada had to go through. And when she said that, I remembered a pastime of Srila Prabhupada. Bill Epstein, he used to come every day to Prabhupada's classes, and he got attracted to Swamiji. And you know what he would get every day lunch? During lunchtime, he was working in a restaurant called Paradox Restaurant. And he used to cook meat. Every day, he would pack up a box of, I can't even say, prasad. And very innocently, for Swamiji, because Swamiji is such a nice man, he's come from India, he's giving us Krishna consciousness. You would get that box, and the beaming smile you would say, you would tell Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, this is for you. And Srila Prabhupada, with an equally beaming smile, would reciprocate by accepting it. Every day he accepted it with grace. Thank you, he would say. So Bill Epstein thought Swamiji is very happy. Next day again he would get. So Prabhupada accepted his food that he offered Every day he accepted it. Of course, he never saw Prabhupada eat it. But Prabhupada took it from him. He didn't say, what nonsense are you getting from me? What I meant is the kindness, his ability to appreciate and see that this person is trying to come to Krishna. There was one boy who was coming and he would sit right in the front of every class Srila Prabhupada gave in 26 2nd Avenue. He would be right in the front, and when Prabhupada started his class, he would take his shawl and he would put it over himself and he would go off to sleep while sitting in the class. And sometimes he would snore. And I've experienced it once. I was giving a class and somebody right in the front was snoring. And next to him was the Kirtan team, which was supposed to start Kirtan after my class. So there were microphones and harmonium kept. So the one was managing the sound system, he wanted to play mischief. So he actually switched on the mic. So I was sitting I was doing the class. So this snoring was picked up by my microphone as well as that mic. It got amplified. And that woke him up. He didn't realize it was, it was the cause of the laughter. So this boy was sleeping in class and he was snoring. Actually, the Prabhupada would give the class. And after the class, Prabhupada would say, any questions? And guess what? This boy was sitting right in the front. He would pick up his shawl and he would raise his hand. I have a question, Swamiji. And he would ask some bizarre, incoherent mumbo jumbo. He would say something nobody would understand. And Srila Prabhupada would answer that question with all honesty. And then Prabhupada would say, so, does that answer your question? And this boy had the audacity to scream. He would say, no! And Srila Prabhupada would again answer. And after the answer, Prabhupada would say, now Prabhupada would raise his voice. Does that answer your question? And now this time, seeing Prabhupada's raised voice, this boy voice, when he said no earlier, now he would say no. These boys would. So again, Prabhupada would answer. So at some point of time, there would be an equilibrium where Prabhupada's voice matched his. And then Prabhupada would say, now we'll have Kirtan. And when Kirtan would start, this boy would dance wildly. It was actually narcissistic. He was, the lower part of the body, pelvic gyrations. He would move his body in a very vulgar way. And devotees were so embarrassed. They wanted to throw him out of the temple. But he would occupy the center stage and he would try to get attention. It was disgusting for all the devotees. So they thought, they should tell Prabhupada and that we should stop him from coming. Because it was a small group at that time. So they went to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, we should not allow him to come to temple. Prabhupada said, he's such a nice boy. And they were shocked. Because he would give all the money he had, he would give to Srila Prabhupada, the donation. Srila Prabhupada is a nice boy. And then he said, no Prabhupada, but he dances. He dances like Lord Chaitanya. So devotees left. They said, oh, we can't pursue this. See, I'm not saying as a manager you shouldn't have systems and you should be spontaneous. That's not the point. I'm trying to talk about the principle here, the attitude, the mood of seeing good. See, the details will vary. We have to make systems, we have to take care, and we have to do all that. That's all there. But today we are talking about where is Srila Prabhupada coming from? What space is coming from? He's seeing good. If you hadn't seen good, there would have been no way Krishna consciousness would have been established. He's encouraging everyone. Shyam Sundar Prabhu's pastime. He was Shyam Sundar Prabhu who spearheaded the movement on behalf of Srila Prabhupada in UK. He was the one who met George Harrison. So Shyam Sundar Prabhu, when he was new in Bhakti, one day he came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, Swamiji, before coming to KC, I had done some activities, some unfortunate things I had done, so because of which I had to go to jail. And Srila Prabhupada so nonchalantly dismissed it. Oh, jail? Oh, that's okay. Even Krishna was born in jail. So then he felt so welcomed by Srila Prabhupada. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's okay. It was before he became a devotee, right? So it's okay. And then Srila Prabhupada asked him later, after some time, anyways, what happened because of which you had to go to jail? He said, Prabhupada, I'm sorry, I was kind of, he was trying to, but he had to be honest. So he said, Prabhupada, I was dealing with drugs. So Prabhupada immediately, without batting an eyelid, oh, Even I was dealing with drugs. How do we explain this? How did Srila Prabhupada deal with drugs? He was a pharmacist. So the way he kind of made Shyam Sundar Prabhu feel so comfortable. So when I say gratitude and appreciation, this is the mood which Srila Prabhupada had. To give us, to convince each and every devotee that this is a, Hare Krishna movement, Prabhupada said, is a hospital. ISKCON is a hospital where we are all diseased, we are all patients, we are all suffering, we have to help each other come closer to Krishna. This is a hospital, not a police station. Often we get in the mood of a police station. We look at others as criminals. But that's not the way to see. So if we have this culture, and you will see that Krishna consciousness is a festival every day. Just seeing good in everything, everybody. I'm not saying you become naive and foolish. That's not the point. Why this is important is because when we are new in bhakti, generally we are very grateful. Have you experienced? We are like, thank you for everything. But slowly we become seniors and we lose it actually. One of our devotees is a doctor, a well-established doctor in a medical college, and he's professor there. He tells me that, Prabhu, my hospital reception staff, they have taught me what is a new bhakta, senior bhakta and medium bhakta. Because when I call my reception from my house, when the receptionist picks up the phone, I know whether she's a new bhakta, medium or a senior bhakta. So he says, when I call up and the receptionist says, good morning, welcome to KM Hospital, how can I serve you? So immediately I know that it's a new devotee speaking. And then I call sometime and somebody picks up the phone and says, yes, this is KM. So then immediately I know, oh, this person has been around for some time. He's not really very enthusiastic. And sometimes when I call up, so the receptionist picks up and says, Kya hai? What do you want? That's the first thing she says. I know that, oh, the very seasoned, mature. We actually lose it. After some years, we lose it. That innocence, that purity goes away. And that ingratitude is what leads to bitter relationships. And that's what leads to us leaving the association of devotees. And that's when bhakti doesn't appear to be sweet, wonderful, what was promised to us or what we thought of in the initial days. All that just dissolves. So when I see all of you, some of you are very young and some of you are a little older but new in bhakti. It's a very unique program where younger people are more senior than the older people. It's such a nice program where I see, when I saw Abhay and Shamli, I was thinking, wow, they are so senior. Not missing a Mangalarati for what, 15 years? So anyway, so the point is gratitude and appreciation. And remember, initially what gratitude and appreciation we had, we need to preserve that all the time. Like I want to share one incident. There was in 2005 when I was doing youth preaching. One of the boys I was preaching to, he told me, and he registered with the marriage board in our temple, and his alliance was, they were going through, and then his parents were seeing. So he told me, Prabhu, everything is more or less fixed, but and I really like this girl, I want to marry her. But suddenly she's becoming very confused, she's saying no and things like that. So then, please help me, I want to marry her. Now I said, I'm a brahmachari, I can't get involved in all this. But I knew him for 6 years before that. And he's from a very nice family. And he was actually expressing that, sincerely, that I like her and I want to marry her. So, and then I said, now you have to ask her why she is going back. So he said, I'm not able to understand what's happening. So I said, why don't you call her? So I was there next to him. He called her. And then I was trying to be the Sherlock Holmes, trying to understand. He's talking to her, what happened? And then she's explaining. And finally, at one point of time, she said how two senior Matajis, they had seen this boy as a very, unfortunately in Mumbai, many of us, during those days, IYS youth preaching, we didn't know how to train the boys. We basically made them fanatics. So when they got married, they had a horrible time. Their wives had a horrible time because these boys didn't know how to talk to their wives. It was very unfortunate. Our training was very bad at one point of time. So this boy, typical product of IYS preaching, he didn't know how to talk to her, and these senior Matajis thought he is a male chauvinist who doesn't treat women with respect. But actually I knew him, he's a very nice boy. So then I understood, oh, these two Matajis are telling us, so I immediately told him, cut off the phone, then I made him sit, I explained to him, now you have to keep this girl aside, first convince these two Matajis. So then I gave him ideas, and then I taught him some Urdu poems. Very popularly chanted in Bollywood. So I gave him shairis and he picked up. And then I told them that tomorrow when you see these two Matajis in the DT room, go and smile at them and talk to them. And never call them Matajis, I told him first. And tell them how you are like, not like their son, but you tell them, you present yourself as a brother, a younger brother. So he liked those ideas, he sincerely followed whatever I told him. And it worked. And then after 2 days, I told him, now you call all 3 of them, the girl you want to marry and these 2 Matajis, to Govinda's restaurant, and you say you are giving a treat. So they all came, and as I planned, as I suggested, he did exactly that. He gave cards and roses to those 2 Matajis. And then he told them something very interesting, which was all according to the plan. He said, you are so nice, both of you are like my elder sisters. I request you, please pull my ear, slap me, punish me, do what you want with me, but I want to marry her, pointing to the girl you want to marry. So he did that, and the mothers were impressed. So later on they told the girl, oh, he's a nice boy, he's humble. So then she agreed, and then in 8 months they got married. And I don't know if they lived happily ever after, but their marriage is going on, and they have 2 children, and it's nice. So why I'm saying this story, once she said yes, and the parents met, and they fixed up the marriage date, everything was done. So 8 months later was the marriage. Now in these 8 months, believe it or not, every 3 days he would send me an email, or he would call me thanking me. Prabhu, thank you so much, you are so nice to me, all that, gratitude, profuse gratitude. But after marriage, no communication. So when I remember gratitude, I remember this story. And I asked him many times, how are you, Prabhu? I'm okay. How's married life? Okay, Prabhu. No, thank you. So this is our lives in Bhakti also. Before we get quote unquote married to Krishna, before we take up commitment, initiation, services, responsibilities, as long as we keep coming for retreats and having parties and fun and we're all happy. But when we take up responsibilities and when we actually get deeply involved in the society of devotees, that's our test. That's when we become very cold, formal, cynical. We need to be careful. And I'm sure Pandavasena leaders must have told you, there is no hiding the fact that we all have an agenda. And the agenda is we want you to take your commitment. We want you to get more committed in bhakti, not simply, the ultimate. Why do we have retreats, 10 days? So that you actually take your relationship with Krishna to the next level. And, this commitment, which is the second topic, gratitude, commitment and attention. Commitment will be sustained only when we have attention practices, when we chant attentively. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, ISKCON GBC Guru, he has done a lot of seminars on Namava's chanting. Hopefully when we have time we'll discuss that also. And Gurujan Prabhu's book I recommend to everyone. Every year I read it once. It's a book called Japa. That's the name of the book. And he speaks a lot about chanting one Mahamantra, being in the present. And that helps us, because if you are going to increase your commitment, you need to have taste. You need to have taste. So therefore all 3 are important to summarize: prayer or gratitude and appreciation. Second, commitment. And then third is present moment living in our bhakti practices. Because as we get older in bhakti, we realize that love, it takes a different form. It's not the way it was before we came. In the initial days of bhakti, just like in any relationship, what we know as love and feelings of affection is different from what love and feelings you experience 20 years after marriage. So it's very dynamic, and appreciation and gratitude is not a ritual. It's not something that it has to be done mechanically. In fact, that breaks the mechanical trap. It's not a dry process. And actually, if you are feeling bored in bhakti at some point of time, today morning somebody was asking me this question, and I feel it's all dry, not inspired. I want to tell you that just try this, a gratitude exercise. Gratitude means basically you are investing your emotions in a thank you, not simply saying a thank you. You know, sometimes devotees say, thank you Krishna for everything. No, that's wrong. What do you mean by everything? Be specific. Thank you for everything, Prabhu. That's not gratitude. Thank you for 1, 2. That's when we enter the gratitude space. When we say thank you for everything, it's very vague. If you have experienced, I don't know, I see it all the time. I did it once in a New Year program. On 31st December, we had a group of devotees. I was giving a class. And I told all of them to get paper and pen. And I said, okay, today we'll do a gratitude exercise. All of you, please, for next 5 minutes, you're going to write last 1 year. There are 5 people I want to really thank. And write their names and why you want to thank them. So it should be like this. I thank dash, fill in the blank, for, then you write 3 sentences. Simple exercise, right? I thank such and such person for whatever has happened to you in the last 1 year. So people reluctantly started the exercise, and one devotee was sitting near the window in the last row. He didn't write anything. He was like, when I walked up to him and I asked him, Prabhu, why don't you write something? Everybody is writing. He said, Prabhu, all this, actually, to be honest, there are people who owe me a thank you. And I'm so hurt that they haven't thanked me. And I don't believe, please don't get offended, but I'm not really excited about this. So I said, okay. I didn't want to disturb him because I want to take the whole group with me. So then others wrote reluctantly and somebody looking out of the window. They're not really inspired. But after a few minutes, when they actually got into it, they couldn't stop. Because, that you can actually feel the change of that energy. When you start writing gratitude, actually writing is very powerful. Because writing slows down things. Like if you're standing in front of deities and saying, thank you Krishna, your mind wanders a lot. But if you actually write, the mind slows down. And when you write, you are able to invest emotions far more powerfully than when you are speaking in front of Krishna. So the devotees who were writing, they couldn't stop after 5 minutes, many of them. And then the story didn't end there. What happened, this boy who was reluctant to write, after a week he called me. And he got so emotional on the phone. And he said something very interesting. He said, Prabhu, I was very cynical that day, but yesterday I was feeling lonely. So I just thought, let me thank someone, let me try what you suggested. And he said something very interesting. He said, the very thought of searching for whom to thank or what to thank for, that itself was so liberating. The searching for thanking someone itself was so exciting. And I just couldn't stop. I wrote for half an hour so many things. And as I was talking, I could see he was getting emotional. It's a true story. I can give you his name. And you can contact him. How gratitude has transformed him. And since that day I've seen him. He's one of the most honest and grateful devotees I've ever seen. Very humble, very down to earth, and always having a gratitude spirit. And that particular day I saw him, he actually broke down. But because I was on the phone, I couldn't see him, but I could see that he always puts up a tough exterior, no nonsense and non-emotional person. But that's one of, I think, two of the biggest misconceptions that human history has seen is, men don't cry and women don't manage. These are some of the things that we have propounded. But this is a myth. And this boy, and when you practice, gratitude is not simply a principle, a vague abstract theory, it's a practice. And when we practice gratitude, our hearts become soft. And hearing chanting becomes exciting. Otherwise, it's a bore. We get bored. And when I say gratitude, I mean what? Not thank you Krishna for everything. Thank you Krishna for specific. If you see Kunti Devi's prayers in Bhagavatam, what does she pray? Yata rishike shakhalena devaki kamsena ruddhati chiram sucharpita vimochitaham cha sahatmaja vibodh tvai evanatena muhur vipargana. Oh Krishna, you protected Devaki. You protected her from Kamsa. And you protected my children. So like that. She's specific. And then she starts giving all examples. Vishan Mahatme Purushadu Darshana Vasat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krishrita Mrige Mrige Neka Maharatastrato Dronastrataschashma Hare Virakshita. You protected us from the Bakasura demon. You protected Draupadi in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. See, look at the specifics she's entering into. So like that, she gives many examples. Actually, she could have even become cynical because she also saw the death of her own grandchildren. See, the advantage of gratitude practices is it helps you to always see positive, even in painful situations. And Kunti Devi, and if you see Kunti Devi's life, it's one of the most intense. I don't think anybody has suffered as much as she has suffered. When she's a small young girl, she has a child, and she's so shocked. Suryadev comes and gives her a child, and then she has to live with that. And then when she sees Arjuna and Karna, they're about to kill each other. What? And she falls unconscious in that assembly when Arjuna is showing off his prowess. Karna enters and Kunti Devi recognizes him to be her son, and they're about to fight. Her two sons are going to fight, and Kunti Devi falls unconscious. And Vidura is standing next to her. He starts wondering what's happened to her. Why is she falling unconscious? He suspects something. Something is wrong. Kunti Devi is considered the incarnation of Krishna's success potency. So if this is the condition of Krishna's success potency, so much suffering, what will be our situation in life? So we are definitely going to face a lot of suffering. But the gratitude is what actually helped her. This is one of the 64 items of devotional service. Rupa Goswami, in the Nectar of Devotion, he explains, he quotes Brahma's prayer, Tattenu Kampam, to explain that if you want to practice bhakti, there are 64 ways you could do, and one of the most powerful ways is gratitude. Gratitude practices. And we know that when death will come, right, death is going to come and take away everything from us. And you know who is successful at the time of death? Those devotees who can thank Krishna. Recently, 21-year-old boy, a nephew of a brahmachari, a devotee, he died of cancer. And he was so grateful. Now, is that an age to lose everything? 21 is an age when you get everything in life. You start getting things in life. And he was losing. So at the time of death, I'm sure all of us know we're all going to die. And when Krishna is going to take away everything from us, can we become grateful at that time? It's not going to be possible. If you're not grateful now, when Krishna is giving us, right now Krishna is giving us so much, and we can't thank Him, how will we thank Him when Krishna starts taking away everything from us? It's literally impossible. So now is the time when we have our family, our devotees, we have association. That's the time when we actually need to be grateful. And I know sometimes you may think gratitude is at the top of the ladder of abstraction. It's a very abstract concept. No, it's very specific. In fact, I'll tell you something. If you could do today, after you go back to your rooms and you retire for the night, if you could actually do it on your either smartphone or your notebook, just write down, just thank 5 people. Just thank 5 people for something they've done in your life. Just do that. And if you can do that early in the morning, nothing like it. If you can begin your day with that, that's the best. Beginning and end of the day, if you can do that. I'll tell you what happened with me when I started gratitude practice. It became, cliche, very mechanical, because after some days, I just couldn't invest emotions in thanking my parents. I began like this. First day I thanked my mother, then father, then Guru Maharaj, my brother. But after a few days of doing it every day, you find it boring. It doesn't make. So what I did, I got a very nice technique, which helped me so much. Nowadays what I do, I thank for what I experienced in the last 24 hours. That makes gratitude very dynamic, because every day is new, right? And last 24 hours, if you thank something for something that happened in the last 24 hours, you're always alert, looking out for something to thank. When you spend time in the journal, you want to thank someone, right? You can't be blank at that time. So I keep looking out for, okay, what do I thank for? So this is a very nice way you could try. And that search itself of who to thank today, that itself is so exciting. And what happens when you do this early in the morning is this. Imagine a crystal clear lake in the morning mist. Cool. And suddenly you enter the middle of the lake and you drop a pebble. What happens? When you drop a pebble in the middle of the lake, beautiful ripples are formed. Those ripples are not in your control, but the pebble that you drop, you can always choose the pebble that you drop. But once you dropped it, then there are beautiful ripples formed, right? Similarly, when you get up in the morning, our mind is like that lake, it's clear. You're getting up fresh in the morning, and then the first thought we choose, that's your choice. Don't feel you are helpless. And what you choose to drop in that lake of your mind, first thing in the morning, that sets off, that triggers off a whole day's feelings, emotions, and it gives you the strength to cope. It gives you the strength to cope with unexpected events that happen. Suddenly some phone call comes, something happens, you get disturbed. But because I practice gratitude in the morning, I'm able to allow positivity to remain. So there are 3 levels at which you could practice, and you can see the difference immediately. So one exercise I gave is, you could try this exercise, and that is, what is the exercise I suggested today? Thank 5 people and see what happens tomorrow morning. Tonight you could do, and tomorrow morning you could do. And see the whole day. See the whole day how we are able to manage the day. So there are 3 levels at which you could thank. At the bottom of the ladder of abstraction is this simple thing I said, 5 people you thank. And this is the level where I thank people for what I am getting in life. Actually, it's still selfish. It's like, thank you Krishna, I got this. Thank you, somebody did this to me, somebody said to me. It's all centered on I. Now I am appealing to you, after you do that for 5 people, you can go a little, all of you remember the ladder of abstraction I spoke about yesterday? You remember, no? So now you go up the ladder, and now you start thanking that person for not what he has done to you, but for who he or she is, independent of you, and see the difference. And then goes even higher up the ladder and thank Krishna, God, the universe. I'll give an example that may make it clear. There is a brahmachari who cooks breakfast every day in our temple. He is a highly accomplished doctor, is a postgraduate doctor, has done his MS, surgeon, and then he left everything, last 10-15 years is cooking. So I thank him very often for breakfast. Oh Prabhu, thank you so much. It's nice, I enjoyed it so much. Now I thank him and he's happy. But one day, I didn't thank him for the breakfast that I enjoyed. I sat with him and I said, Prabhu, what a breakfast you're cooking every day. You could be earning so much outside, but you decided to give all of it away and you're just serving devotees and you have to manage your sadhana and trying to please brahmacharis. It's so difficult. Their expert comments you have to handle. So I started appreciating him for who he is beyond me and what he's doing for me. And immediately, believe me, when I did that, I could see my appreciation was at the level of, it was very authentic. I was entering another world actually. I was entering a spiritual space. And I could see he felt very touched by because he could see it was genuine. And then I took it to the 3rd level, because we don't want to become proud and arrogant. Then we both reflected upon how Krishna is so amazing, how he's attracting so many people from all walks of life, how so many souls are getting attracted to him, and how he's managing ISKCON, and how so many devotees are growing and the faith is increasing. So we took it to the next level of gratitude. So gratitude first is at the level of I, second is at the level of the other person, and third is at the level of Krishna or universe. It happens all the time. Simple examples. Like we went for a yatra, the whole yatra I was thanking a few devotees who managed the yatra for me, because I had a good experience. And I also thank those devotees that, what you could be doing so many other things, but you chose to serve devotees. I thank them for their, and then finally thanking Krishna for the fact that we all went safely, we came back safely from the yatra, everybody was healthy, there were no accidents. So basically connecting to a higher reality. So this helps us actually choose positive thoughts. Often we hear, be positive, it's so abstract, be positive, be positive. But actually being positive means choosing to be grateful early in the morning. If you can do that, then our bhakti becomes a blissful process. Unfortunately, people think, just chant Hare Krishna and you keep practicing, and what do that say? Practice makes a man perfect. They say this. Actually, one boxing guru, very famous, I forget his name, he said practice doesn't make you perfect. Practice simply creates permanent effect. If you keep practicing the wrong thing every day, that creates a habit. So if you're already chanting every day, only criticizing others and being negative, then that becomes a default setting. We need to break that. So we can chant more. We need to chant 16 rounds. All that is perfect, but the foundation has to be gratitude and appreciation. Like once on the board I wrote, there was a board, and when I gave a class in our school, I wrote I wrote multiplication tables. I wrote 4 into 5, 20, 7 into 3, 18, 6 into 7, 42, 9 into 9, 81. You notice something here? 7? 7, 3 is what? All of you noticed that. So that's what, when I wrote it on the board, as soon as I wrote the second one, everybody said, Prabhuji, that's wrong. I said, what about the other 3? They are right? You didn't see that? immediately catch what is not right. That's our default setting. So Peter Drucker, I think, is a very famous American management guru. He is no more now. He would say, for a leader to be successful, he gave a sutra. He said, catch them doing right. We generally immediately catch people doing wrong. If you can develop this habit, catch them doing right, see the difference it makes in your life.